A lot of your spending has nothing to do with money. Isn't that interesting? I don't think you're overspending. I think you're self-medicating. Think about this. How much of your spending can be tied to stress or boredom or reward cycles? I want to share a story with you that'll hammer this home. Welcome back. This is video 8 of 10. Video 8, we're 80% of the way through this. This is the Spend Like You Mean It video series. I'm so excited to have you back. I hope this is adding value. If it is, please like, subscribe, please leave a comment. Let me know how we're doing. It just helps me so much to create content that aligns with what will be helping you and your family for generations to come. And that's what we're here to do. I met with this couple years ago over dinner, and the topic of money came up. And I was reading Tony Robbins' book, Money Master the Game at the time, which I have right here. And it is beat up because I have read through it many a time. And I was reading I Will Teach You to Be Rich at the time. Both books are phenomenal, in my opinion, and have taught me a lot about the world of money and finance. We were talking about the books. They had both read both of the books, and they knew I loved talking about this. And they began telling me part of their finances and just very open about it. All right, that sounds good. Hit me with it. And I found out that they made, as a couple, no kids, couple in their mid 30s at the time, they made about $10,000 a month after tax take home income. Their fixed costs across the board with everything, cell phone, housing, food, electric, gas, cars, was about $3,500 a month. On the surface, that looks phenomenal. 10,000 they're bringing in, 3,500 are their fixed expenses that they knew they had. That leaves $6,500 of margin. On the surface, it looked like they should be saving a ton. Why weren't they? Not only were they not saving a ton, but I'll share down the road in this video how bad it really was. Why weren't they saving a lot? I think it comes down to one word. One word. Emotions. Emotions. They spent, and this came out during the conversation, they spent because they both had stressful jobs, and according to them, they deserved it. A ton of discretionary spending. They deserved it. And I will share with you what I said to them. I said, "Oh, you work so hard that you deserve to be broke? Is that what you deserve? You work so hard. You deserve to be in debt and just broke out of your minds." Like, isn't that crazy to think about? They were tired after work, and I'll give them, like, they worked hard, meaning they worked a lot of hours. They were tired after work, and they would just sit on the couch and buy things online because they were bored at home and they were tired, and they'd just be scrolling. You know how it is. We talked about it on the last video with social media and how easy it is to just, you see an advertisement. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. They had the best of everything around their house, of which they used very little of. And their routine, their habit, as we've connected this in the last 7 videos, we've talked about habits. Their routine was, I see something online, I immediately buy it. I see something else online, I immediately buy it. They had toys, they bought a boat, they had a cold plunge sauna oasis out back with a pool. And I want to say the cold plunge cost like 15 grand. It was something out of this world. The sauna was, it was like an 8-person sauna that sat outside. They rarely ever used it. I think he told me he was in the cold plunge like 5 times that year. We didn't meet in January, by the way. I think we met at the end of summer. That was the routine. I'm stressed. Work is hard. I'm tired. That looks good. I'll buy that. 5 days a week. This couple was in over $50,000 of credit card debt. They still had plenty of student loans. They were beyond broke. Broke would have been good. And what I mean by that, beyond broke means they had over $50,000 in credit card debt. I think they had over $100,000 in student loan debt. So that's $150,000. They had a house that they owed like over $500,000 on, I believe. And they only had in assets, each had a small 401k of less than $10,000. Broke, meaning assets equal liabilities, would have been an upgrade. They owed $500,000 on the house, $100,000 in student loan debt, $50,000 in credit card debt. They owed $650,000, and the equity in their home was maybe 100,000, and they had 20,000 in 401ks. They had 120,000 of assets, $650,000 of liabilities. That isn't good. That is broke beyond broke. And the spending was getting worse. This is a very rare case because, again, their fixed expenses were low compared to their income, but it was the emotions. They tied the spending, as we distilled it down, to stress, boredom, feeling that they deserved it. So it was a type of reward for them. Where does this shift come in was really interesting because they made the shift. It took about another year after that, and they made the shift. The spending is not the financial issue. It's the emotion that was tied to it. It was the I deserve this emotion that was tied to it. I work so hard. We work so hard. They did as a couple. We deserve this. We deserve a $15,000 cold plunge. We deserve a $25,000 sauna. We deserve to go on vacation to Europe for 2 weeks and spend $30,000. This is the type of stuff that was happening. And it was emotional. What we talked about and used different books and podcasts and learned, and I guess I was an accountability partner of theirs, was to replace the trigger with an alternative action between the two of them. If they're both sitting there scrolling on their phones, buying things, one simple thing, and they still do this because I just talked to them probably 3 weeks ago, is they'll come home after work, still in very similar roles. They make considerably more money than they did even then. They come home. Often the routine is make dinner and then they go for a walk. No phones. They go for a walk. They walk for an hour. That was normally their buying sporadic because of emotion time. Now they just enjoy each other's company. They connect as a married couple. It's beautiful. You can talk about your emotional spending with your spouse or a friend. That can help. Why can these triggers or why can these advertisers trigger such emotion in us so easily? They can, that's what they're paid to do. These people are paid to trigger emotions in us so that we buy. And they're really good at it. And we have to be very careful of it as a result. This couple got it under control. Remember in the last video, this is one thing that they still do. They still talk about it. VASS, VASS, they do value aligned spending strategy. They have one. They keep an eye on their spending without judgment, but they do make sure most of their spending is aligned with the values. They also, as we talked about, richest man in Babylon, they pay themselves first. Now, this couple, as I said, they significantly increased their income. Their discretionary spending is now aligned with their values. They do love travel, but they also said, we didn't have to travel and spend $30,000 on a European vacation. They could have the same amount of fun and enjoyment for less than a third of that. $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 would be $22,000 less than what they were paying. They now have a multi-million dollar net worth. And this is only in a few years that they've changed, but they've changed so significantly because they want freedom. They have a child on the way. They want freedom for their family, for their child, for the next generation. And they knew that those emotions can absolutely swing us and make us make decisions. He still laughs about the cold plunge. He now has a cold plunge out back of his house that costs him about $100, and he knows he's not going to use it a ton. Why have a $15,000 one when you can have a $100 one and you're using it the same amount? They sold the sauna. They never use that. And they're aligning their lives with what they value. And now with a strategy, when they have a strategy in place as a couple, and if you're single, same thing. If you have a strategy in place for you, it's harder to let the emotions drive you because you know it doesn't align with your strategy. I hope this helps. I always want to keep adding value to your life. Remember, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and remember, next week, here's a little teaser. We're talking about spending like the person you say you want to be. Spending like the person you say you want to be. And we're getting into one of my favorite things to ever talk about if you follow my content at all, which is your identity. And that is, oh, it's a driver in so many areas of life, especially with money and your spending strategy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you same time next week.